Hi everybody, how's everybody doing? I'm doing okay. I'm trying to stay positive and sane, trying to pace my news consumption, and just trying to take it day by day. I want to ask you a favor. Could you please follow me on Instagram and Facebook if you haven't already? My handle is with bowl and spoon. I know people are listening, but I'm not getting any feedback, and it's lonely being a podcaster. So feel free to email or message me. Let me know what you think of the show. Ask me questions, suggest guests or topics. I'd love to hear from you. And I wanted to let you know what I've got coming up. I am declaring February Fermentation February. All episodes in February will be fermentation focused. I've got interviews lined up with John Jing from Yega Kimchi and Trevor from Community Cultures. I've got an episode on olive fermenting from my friend Marcel and I. And I've been in touch with my friends from a fermentation workshop that I went to in Tennessee in 2013 at Sandor Katz's farm. And that was phenomenal. Lots of stories there, but we literally picked a truckload of vegetables at the Barefoot Farmer farm. And then the next day we washed them, chopped them, salted them, put them in a big wooden barrel, and I'm pretty sure that Trevor from Community Cultures got to try some of that a year later because he went in 2014. We were in the fall 2013. I think he was, whatever. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody is up to. We're going to do a Zoom call, tell stories, and talk about fermentation. Last week we heard from Mick Luber, who has been an environmental activist for over 40 years. Today we're hearing from someone just starting out in their activist career. Lex Williams, her company is Earth Offerings Garden Consulting and Installation, GCAI. And yeah, there's a theme here. It's a weird time. I mean, Mick put it pretty well when he said that he and his hippie friends were preparing for when things blow up, so they could go and provide for their communities. Well, I feel like this is the closest it's gotten in my lifetime to actually blowing up. And I've seen the commercials for the dehydrated foods. That's not going to cut it. Humans need live food, fresh food. But in this crazy time, we need to stick together and do what we can to help our neighbors. I mean, grow a little food, even if you don't need to. Do it to prove to yourself that you can, just in case. And if you need some help, you can call Lex. Alexis, tell us about your business. What do you guys do?
So we specialize in foodscape gardening and native perennials, and we kind of just offer anything under the sun whenever it comes to like your garden needs. You can have us for coaching, and we teach you directly how to grow everything on your own and maintain it. And then we also do maintenance of all kinds and installation, of course. We do designs and DIY work. So we're here really to just bring native plants and symbiosis and freshness back into your life and into your space.
How did you get started doing that?
So I've been in the restaurant industry for a while. I've always had a passion for like cooking. I've worked at some corporate restaurants, so with that, I'm still passionate about giving people a good meal. And I've been obsessed with nature since as long as I can remember. So, my partner recommended Bidwell. So I am a certified horticulturist through Bidwell Training Center. But it kind of started there. We did a lot of field trips and a lot of different experiences. So we went to Hilltop Urban Farm, and I pulled a carrot out of the ground and was like, yeah, man, that's for me.
That is so magical. I used to teach kids, and pulling carrots was just the most magical thing because it looks like nothing, and you're like, whoa.
And then you feel this like little pop of it just like releasing itself from the earth, and it's just a really special kind of thing. So I knew that was kind of the route that I wanted to take. So with that, I started working on some like local farms. I worked at a farm in Burgettstown. I worked at Tiny Seed Farm, and that's really where I learned like pretty much everything I know about farming. So I had some...
Shout out to Tiny Seeds.
Well, that's why I was actually so intrigued to come to Driftwood, because I used to harvest wholesale orders for Driftwood. So I was like, man, if I can come and make the connection, I think that would be lovely. So, it was like, I did farming for a few years, but realized that it felt very unsustainable for me. 5 days a week, sometimes like 50 hours, just baking in the sun. I just really had no life and no angst to do anything. So I stepped back from farming and kind of went back into restaurants. And, every winter you kind of like just this yearning for going back outside and being with nature kind of like brews over the winter. And it's like, well, am I going to stay here and keep working in a restaurant, or am I going to work on another farm and be too tired, or am I going to like do my own thing now? So that's where everything kind of originated. Just, I know what I want to do for myself. I know what I want to do for other people. I know what I want to do for the environment. So it kind of was just like a no-brainer. It was just like, where do you start? Because I don't have like much formal business experience, just kind of going off of learning in free ways, I kind of was looking at Pittsburgh models of like what we have going on here. And I was mentioning this idea to a friend of mine while I was working on the farm, and she was like, you know what, I know somebody that does that in Columbus, Ohio. So Katie with Columbus Foodscapes was able to kind of give me a little bit of direction on things that really like get you going and ways to really get your feet on the ground. And from there, last January, I kind of hit the floor running and started planning.
We met last March at the Home and Garden Show.
Yeah.
You were there networking and throwing your cards around.
Yes.
I had to write your name on the card so I didn't forget, because your name wasn't on the card.
Yeah, and to be honest, I still don't think it is, because I just updated my business cards and it is not on there. Part of me, okay. Yeah, part of me wants to kind of be like separate from my brand. A lot of people that have businesses like are the brand, and I just kind of like want the mission to be the brand. Just being in nature in time, you just get to like watch the reciprocity of like everything, and I think it's very grounding and just like a privilege to kind of do this kind of work. And you can pay for schooling, you can pay for these resources and stuff, but you can also just sit with the time that you have, and like it will teach you all on its own. So yeah, I'm just very attracted to that kind of beauty.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a town called Natrona Heights. It's not my favorite place in the world, but it at least gave me the kick in the butt to realize that I don't want my life to look like this for forever. So as soon as I graduated, I saved up some money and moved to the city with my two best friends, and we all got a place together, and we all attended Bidwell at the same time.
For the same...
Yeah, for horticulture.
Oh,
yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it was great to have like their support behind all of that.
So you say Natrona Heights, and you're like, I want to get out of there, but I know a couple really amazing farms out that way.
Yeah.
Very nearby. So
yes, Megan.
You did have access to that. Were you a part of that at all?
No, actually, and I was very unaware of all of that. I knew of Blackberry Meadows just by like driving around the little country roads and whatnot, but never really. And honestly, while I was living there, I never had like any type of grasp that like I was going to become an agricultural worker of any kind. I didn't ever realize that those resources were so close to me. Turns out, one of the two folks that I, went to school with and was living with, she works there now. And really, it is just an amazing, reputable farm. I think that they are a very good model to go off of, like with strong leadership. I think that that's hard to find in a small business, is like good management.
I'm rooting for them in a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
You didn't grow anything growing up? You didn't have a garden or anything like that?
I did do gardening with my grandma growing up. We kind of just did more like classical things. She loved like her stelladoras and her irises, and she has like Russian sage in her yard and things like that. But we would go around the yard together. I have pictures of her and I holding hands and like me watering something. And she had like a statue of the goose that you dress up, outside, and like me and the goose were besties. So I think that my grandma was kind of the root for that for me. Just instilling like kind of a wonder, always trying to make things beautiful and just like welcoming. So she's a classic homemaker, caretaker, and I like to do all of those things, I guess, but I'm more of the caretaker of the outside world. Not so much.
So what sort of client are you looking for?
I am so intrigued to help like the people of Bloomfield and Lawrenceville that think that they don't have any green space, just to create something for themselves, whether it's, growing there's so much produce, especially that you can grow like in a pot. I just want people to know that they're not limited. I mean, people that have land, absolutely, because grass is truly horrible. Like a nice patch of grass for you to absorb some sunlight and for your dogs to run, no problem with that. But so much grass, it just uses so many resources to take care of, and we can't do that anymore. So any client really that has any type of passion for wanting to learn more about native plants and being in that environment, I think is perfect, to be honest. Anybody that has any type of wonder for what things used to be like in a world where, we manage things and things belonged.
So last year I did 4 or 5 installations. I did a raised bed garden made out of cedar, and that was just strictly veggies, but that was just awesome, great experience. Built the boxes by hand, put in a fence, got my first auger for putting in wooden fences, so that was really, really exciting. And I did a pretty large native perennial garden for my boss, and that was also a great experience. And that was the first garden that I did with sustainable practices, so using cardboard and kind of sheet mulching, doing minimal soil amendment. And that was the first job where you're really doing the site assessment. So you have to really look at the land and see what it is telling you. Look at the trees. You have to know where the sun is. Right plant, right place is the biggest deal, especially if you're trying to be a reputable, sustainable landscaper. But that experience also was just amazing. It was flexible, but also it was she just really wanted it to be beautiful. So it's kind of free reign there. But with native gardening, the first year is sleep, the second year is creep, the third year is leap. So I just really can't wait to go back and see the progress.
Do you want to explain what that means? Sleep, creep, leap?
Yeah, for sure. So with native perennials, since they're going to be there for a while, it's not an annual that's just oh, I'm ready, I'm here growing, and then they only last so long. So in year 1, they're really just worried about establishing. You might get some blooms, everything might look a little wonky, but they're really just establishing, getting their roots in the ground. Especially if you're spring planting, they're just trying to be able to be there enough to deal with summer and then winter. Then creep is kind of okay, our roots are getting more established. And now kind of we're going to do some more vegetative growth up top, getting a little bit bigger, just stronger, more solidified. And then the third year, leap, is just supposed to be whenever it's in one of its most immaculate forms, full-size plants, deeply rooted roots, which, with gardens like this, you're just kind of building up sustainability. I mean, native perennial roots just penetrate in such a way that most normal landscaping plants do not achieve. So by year 3, you're just going to be sitting back and really looking at the fruit of your labors, popping off. And it kind of depends on the look that you want for your garden. If you want something a little bit more well maintained, you might really truly follow plant spacing. There is a technique of planting called matrix planting, and that is really awesome. And I think that that's really the best way to do it if you're trying to like recreate something like an actual natural space. So with matrix planting, you're supposed to be planting at least like one plant per 1.5 square feet. So you are packing them in, but it's creating a competition for them so like they can fill and grow, because that's what it is in natural landscapes. There's like 7 different little species growing in the same area, and they're like, no me, I'm going to be taller, no me. But all of these things add up, you know, for sustainability. You have deep roots, which is just more like mycorrhizae, more symbiosis in the soil systems. Then you have like more space being filled, which means less water, less mulching. And then you just get to like observe the sheer beauty. And this is where like the reciprocity of life really comes. You know, plants are resources and gifts, and pretty much giving offerings at all times for so many different species that are just ignored by the general human, you know? I think it's easy, like being somewhat normal, to just get stuck in like, I'm a person. It's all about people. You know, it's all about the society. When really it's like there's so many other organisms that are like doing things behind the scenes. That's where it really matters, you know? They're the ones that are, I think that they're really keeping us alive, and we just like actually don't even know it or fail to recognize it in so many cases. So I'm with those guys.
We're here at Driftwood Oven, and we have a feast in front of us. Literally everything that is here is because of plants. Like, we would not have food, period. Even when you're talking about meat, it's about plants.
Most definitely.
And the plant's ability to translate the light into fuel for us is just bonkers.
Yeah.
And we don't have a concept of that as a normal, as most humans don't really grasp that.
I mean, so many things are like skipped. Like, you get to go to the grocery store and enjoy the convenience of a pineapple in December. And, you know,
For like $2.
yeah.
It's just bonkers because it's more than $2 to ship it.
To ship it. Yeah, exactly. So there's just so many things that come into play, and I think that that's where like agriculture really gets me going, kind of just with like activism for all of these things, activism for the people that harvest the food that we do eat at grocery stores. I mean, the beings that are insects and just out there like pollinating things so we have food. Just the ecosystems they're everywhere. They're everywhere, and mostly ignored by convenience. With working in restaurants and just seeing like the root of food, there's a deeper connection with food and eating clean foods, like the things that they do to our food unknowingly. It's kind of like so many veils are pulled over your face to get this like grocery store product, and I think that they need to be lifted. I think that we got to get real. You know, I'm not saying that everybody needs to have a garden. It's not sustainable for every person to have chickens and cows and a full-time garden. Even if you only want to grow your own salad and tomatoes, like, that's cool. And you should try it. And if you're feeling a little scared about trying something like that, that's the other thing. Just the internet gives you so much information. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's going to work. And I think that that's where a business like this really comes into play, because it's like, I want to do this thing. I'm interested, but I want to do it right. If I can at least miss the trial and error and not spend all of this crazy money on my trial and error, then you can get what you need sooner and have it be sustainable for you.
And that's where you come in.
That's where I come in. And that's what I really want for everybody that comes into contact with me.
Yeah.
Well, I have a personal garden at my home. We do have a community garden called the Spring Street Garden, which could definitely use like more recognition and funding. We are coming out of being a disadvantaged community. There is a nonprofit like coffee community place called Uncommon Grounds, and Andrina Williams, she runs the spot, and they own Spring Street Garden. So just like with the right funding, like the Spring Street Garden could be such a resource and light for the people of Aliquippa. The people of Aliquippa have already banded in any way that they can because of the situation of the community. Like
Gotcha.
For this coffee shop, they do it in like, Aliquippa is like a very church-based area, and I think that that's cool if like that's all that you really feel like you have in that area. But I think
For a lot of people, that's community.
most definitely. And I think that the government of Aliquippa needs to like offer some resources for people. I mean, there just has to be something to like look forward to down there. And I think like watching a pepper grow could be a really beautiful thing for people. There's like they call it the prayer labyrinth. It's next to the garden. And there was talk about being able to redo it and make it a beautiful community place, but the funding like is not there. And I don't think that the people of Aliquippa can do any more to like put anything else towards it. Like, all these towns were just created in a boom, and then all of the resources are gone, and then these people were just like left to rot in these like spaces and just completely forgotten about, or just not cared about, or just shoved to this area. And I'm like, man, you do that, like the least we could have is like a garden and a coffee shop that gets the funding that they need. I mean, they literally like sometimes do pay what you can for the people there. Like it's a very supportive place that most places don't even have. So I think having a resource like that and like having the garden there could just be like a real shining light for the community members of Aliquippa. I never thought in a million years that is where I would end up, but it is where I ended up. And I live there. It is hard not to take pride in where you live. It's not even about me. It's about the people that have literally like raised their families there. It's just like they deserve something more than I can offer, without funding anyway. It's like I'll transform anything for you that I can. Yeah, Aliquippa is becoming very near and dear to my heart, actually, which I also never thought would happen, but but we're getting there. I think especially in places like Beaver County, Washington County, like I think that Allegheny County has something to be happy about in terms of just like, we still got it going on here. We still got some good laws in place for like not totally screwing every ecosystem that it comes upon. Like literally you just take a jaunt into Washington and it's like, there's been a new road built and there's just like man-made weird hills everywhere and there's tree of heaven everywhere. If you're going to just completely take every resource that we ever had away from us by drilling and making highways and whatever else, then the least that you could do is like offer some remediation for what you have done. Like if you're going to build something, like that's fine. Don't put boxwoods there, bro. Like, and there's still big, huge projects happening everywhere, and the resource industry is not slowing down anytime soon. So it's just like, if you want to take these supplies away from the earth and people, then you should at least be willing to replenish them with like, just throw some seeds down at least and hope that something germinates.
What are you growing in your home garden?
I will be starting my onions here soon. I grow all of my stuff from seed. I'll be starting my onions. I love to do tomatoes, eggplants. I'll be growing potatoes this year. I grew celery last year, cabbage, pretty much anything. The awesome part about working on a farm that has a CSA is just getting a whole multitude of like crop knowledge.
When you worked at Tiny Seed?
Yeah, you kind of like learn how to grow a little bit of everything. The wildlife in my yard, surprisingly, for being in Aliquippa, is actually pretty great. I mean, we have all kinds of birds. I have like the window bird feeders and stuff. A cardinal yet lives in my yard, and I'm honored. I live very close to the Shell power plant and the nuclear power plant. I just got my pamphlet in the mail for what to do if the power plant explodes or something.
Oh, that's fun.
I have heard, I've never seen this from my own eyes, but I have heard that for the people that live a little closer than they get like an iodine tablet in there. So, and that's another part of like just being an activist with the place in which I live. I just feel like there's been so much conventional
misjustice that's happened there. And, I just don't know what it is. Like, the Ohio, valley is literally one of the most beautiful things. Like, you come up over that hill and you're going down and you're just met with this beautiful mountain view. Like, Beaver County has some views, but then they're just tainted with the smokestacks in the background and just, it's just truly a shame. And I'm just appalled, to be honest.
All for money.
I wish that something different could come out of all of that.
Yeah. What is on the agenda for this year for your business?
I have been hired by Tree Pittsburgh to do maintenance for them, just with general weeding, mulching.
At their site, at their offices?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm really looking forward to that. I spoke to Kurt about that last year. And I will be having some workshops starting soon about seed starting. I have one at the Sewickley Library. I'll be having one at the Fox Chapel Library. So I'm so excited to share that information with people. I hope to do a little cocktail planter workshop, kind of maybe around Mother's Day. Also installing as many gardens as possible. And actually today marks the day that I will be starting my landscape design certificate through FIPS and my sustainable land care accreditation. So I will be working with FIPS. I love expanding my knowledge. I just want to try to be the best at, what I do. I realize that I don't know everything. Yeah, so coming up this year, just lots of workshops, sharing, teaching, hopefully so much installation that I can quit one of my 2 restaurant jobs. Yeah, and just I think really getting grounded. This year, I really feel like it's going to be my year. I'm ready.
So where can people find you if they're looking for someone to help them put in a garden?
So I have an Instagram. My Instagram is Earth Offerings GCAI. That stands for Garden Consulting and Installation. And you can also find me on my website, earthofferingsgcai.com. Just reach out. I wanna see your space.
And also your workshops, where will they find out about your workshops?
On my website, I will be having an upcoming events page. I'm still doing some new updates to my website, so I'll have a gallery page this year. I'm hoping to start a newsletter and an upcoming events page. So you can find all of that there, and you can find that on my Instagram. I'll be keeping both of those updated. Instagram, Facebook, I kind of post on those at the same time.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you wanted to mention, you want to talk about?
If you are feeling wondrous and you're feeling adventurous and you feel like you just want to learn more about ecosystems and the earth, I just think that you should do it. Just do anything that you have the resources for, and just know that everything before was done in a way that you didn't have to pay for everything. There are resourceful ways to make things that you want happen. So be resourceful and go get it. And bring your ecosystems back into your life, because I think at least that is what humans deserve. So yeah, that's my send-off message.
Well, Lex, thank you so much for being on with Bowl and Spoon.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon. Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon.
With Bowl and Spoon is written, produced and hosted by Shelley Danko-Day. Original theme song was written and performed by Paul LeBreeze and Friends. You can listen to With Bowl and Spoon wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe, like, review and share. Follow us and send us questions or messages on Facebook and Instagram at With Bowl and Spoon. Thanks for listening.
And spoon.